I want to go on Judy Justice so bad. So can you do something, please? Like run me over with a car, and then we can go on there. But it has to be under $10,000 worth of damage. So just like a scrape.
You want me to like pop your breast implant or your butt implant?
That's more than $10,000. Especially if I'm deflated on both sides, I'll be falling over.
No, that's half the act. You walk in limping because one's deflated and
I have one inflated ass cheek and one giant tit. I look like this like Cronenbergian nightmare. Well, more than I already do. You were going to cut out this entire front part, and this is, I think, why people tune in. I think that they enjoy the banter. I don't think they give a fuck about what we talk about.
Well, we know what 2 of our listeners just enjoy the banter.
Our 2 listeners, yes.
2 of our 3 listeners.
I would be very confused if someone who doesn't know us or know of us or have our Twitter or whatever found this. Like some like strange artifact, like we're doing some ham radio station in Vegas in the 80s, and just started listening, and we actually got an organic appreciation of something that we have to say. Yes, because we have fans, and they're wonderful people. We also know them. But what if a complete stranger found us and was like, I like what you do? Or, even more exciting, what if a complete stranger found us and hated us? That, I think, would be a sign of we're making true broadcasting headwaves. Can we get an organic
there are
stalker?
a lot of people who would listen to us and hate us. They just haven't found us yet.
That's our goal. We have to find people who hate us so they can listen to us.
I mean, enough people hate us just organically.
See, that's a good thing, though, is that people hate us, but they know us.
So you just want them to hate us for our podcast personalities, which is us. So I'm not seeing the innovation here. I also am upset.
Sorry, I was trying to write a joke when you were saying that, and so I just completely zoned out. But you said something about, I don't know, you were wandering off on some fucking tangent that our new organic fan is going to discover, and then be like, wow, that was extremely profound. And then you'll be cited in literature.
I already am cited in literature.
Court records.
I am a degreed individual. So I have been cited. And the stupid academia.edu or .com or whatever the hell it is emails me every day saying, you've been mentioned.
So you have been cited in your area of studies.
Sure.
Related papers. Well, it wasn't something unrelated. You weren't cited under like neuroscience or something. That'd be weird.
No, that's not weird because my dissertation talked about psycholinguistics, which was neuroscience.
Well, then there you go.
No, but it would be weird if I were like, underwater basket weaving.
Is there anybody who actually does that?
I don't know.
I know that's like a very interesting trope, but doesn't that feel like that'd be really hard?
But isn't the joke that people use that as a trope, saying that, it's something so easy?
I think they say it as something so, like, completely inane.
It's supposed to be obscure, but I've also heard people use the joke of, she went to college, she got a degree, like, in underwater basket weaving, acting like it was an easy thing to do, or an easy degree to get.
Well, I don't know, I didn't do the prereqs for it. I didn't do pool basket weaving. I didn't do bathtub basket weaving. I didn't.
But see, this is where language gets interesting.
Oh, God.
Because the term is underwater basket weaving. That doesn't mean your entire body has to be underwater. Just maybe your hands and, your actual weaving of a basket is underwater. It's not like you're in full scuba gear trying to weave a basket underwater. That would be a little bit more difficult.
Well, as someone with deep ties into the underwater basket weaving community, there is a Vatican II style schism between the full body underwater basket weavers and the waist down underwater basket weavers, and it is violent. Someone got stabbed with...
all of this is being cut.
So you just stepped on my line. Someone got stabbed in 2003 with a reed and hasn't recovered since.
Oh,
God.
You're so stupid.
Like a moil in a nursery, all of this is being cut. Oh, I'm good.
Good?
When I'm bad, I'm good, but when I'm worse, I'm better.
We have different definitions of the word good.
No. What are other perennial non-expiration topics you would like to talk about, fellow NPR co-host?
You know what? I don't appreciate your tone and your derision. We can bring up some topical things.
Well, can we bring up Judy Justice? I think it's important. Because this got, on a previous episode, I like to think that we're creating like a Marvel-style universe, but, less gay. So, we mentioned that Judge Judy has a new show called Judy Justice. Mm-hmm. It's an Amazon deal. It's a Freevee deal, which is owned by Amazon, some shit like that. So, we had said previously, so every time that Judge Judy had to have her 5-year contract renewed, she'd have whatever head person at, I think it was NBC, that she was, had her thing on, NBC or CBS, one of those two. I think it was NBC. So you'd meet them at the Grill in the Alley in Beverly Hills and say, I'm going to put my offer in an envelope. I'll hand it to you. Let's have a nice dinner, and you can look at it in the morning and let me know if you'll take it or not. Every single time they said yes. So in this most recent batch of that, she, I think, said, okay, it's been 25 years. I'm done. I'm going to go do my own thing. And told them no. She was being paid $100 million over the course of 5 years. The last time that she signed up, or the last time that we checked. So she's been doing pretty well. Judge Judy, if she's not a billionaire, she's pretty damn close. So she decided, okay, I'm going to slick my hair back, which she did a couple years ago. I'm going to fire Bert, which she did with this new iteration. I'm going to make the Judge Judy that I always wanted to make. So her granddaughter is an advisor and a panelist on the show. There's also some court reporter lady who does not speak. And
she's spoken a few times.
Wait, really? In the other episodes? See, you know more about this. You've seen more episodes than I have.
So, okay, continue.
So yeah, it's a new format, and you're like, oh, okay, what could she do to update it? Because secretly, Judge Judy controls the entire court TV market, People's Court, all these other things like that. She is a hot bench. She has been a producer of those shows. She suggested those shows, being okay, 3 justices. And there's 3 people discovering things, discussing things. Okay, a young lady justice. Okay, there's a young woman doing something like that. So she's been quietly behind a lot of the TV court shows. So that's smart. She cornered the market. So we watched the first episode of this, and it was about 2 women who got into a fight in a car wash line. One of them launched a hydro flask at the other one's head, which is a little bit more violent than the usual Judge Judy episodes. But apparently nothing has changed from watching this. The entire thing is still 2 people discuss something. Judge Judy has her comebacks and things like that. Pressure test to see which one's lying. Finds that one's lying. Judges in the favor of the other one. Dispenses a little bit of advice and bon mots in between, and she's done. The only difference was, at the end of the episode, Judge Judy drags her granddaughter in the room, asks her a question, talks over her, and it's over. So all of this is the new format, and they've recorded 120 of these so far, and it's been renewed for a second season.
It is the exact same show, different set, a few different characters.
There's a Bert replacement.
Yeah.
Bert was replaced by a younger version of Bert. It's kind of like Three's Company when they started swapping people out. They just picked a younger, hotter version. They picked a younger, hotter Bert. But despite being infuriated that he was not asked for this new show, Judge Judy found another show for him to be on this Freevee thing or something, and basically gave him a show. So Bert is
gainfully employed.
Bert is eating at Grill in the Alley as well. Also, apparently he was making I think probably a few million over the course of his Judge Judy career to sit there and hand papers to people. So Bert's been eating, Bert's been in filet mignon for many years now.
The show is the exact same. It has a few different people, and yes, she changed her hairstyle and the color of her robe. Like that's
she's a burgundy robe now.
That is it. Yes, the end of every episode has her and her granddaughter, who's apparently in law school or just past law school or some bullshit.
Yeah.
They go back in the chambers and they literally talk for a minute, maybe, and the granddaughter might say 2 sentences and then it's done.
Yeah.
Like, she's just... she plays no role in it, honestly. The one time she did play a role was because Judge Judy couldn't figure out how something on the telephone worked, how something on someone's cell phone worked, because they were trying to give evidence like a video, and she couldn't figure out how to play the video or something, so the granddaughter showed her. Like, that was it.
That's the extent of her use to figure out apps?
Yeah. And then the court reporter has been called on. In all fairness, I put this on I have been putting this on as I fall asleep over the past few weeks, and so it just sort of plays, and I can hear Judge Judy in my dreams. But the court reporter lady has been called on twice to basically prove that someone has lied, because someone changes their story and Judge Judy says, "That's not what you said a second ago. Roll back the tape." And she looks back at the court reporter who says, who pulls up her little thing and she goes, "He said blah, 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 blah." See, she's got it all.
I wish you could put on the microphone the face I just made, because it was pure delight at the fact that Judge Judy finally has someone else there to confirm. Because that's been a point of contention in previous Judge Judy episodes, that someone says something like, "I don't say that," and then it pisses her off, and then she's like, "Just get out." Like,
right. No, now she has an actual stenographer taking real-time notes, who then will go back and say, "Actually, you did say that."
I am fascinated by this. Does the bailiff say anything? Because Bert used to kind of be a combination of all those things.
The bailiff says at the very beginning of every episode, "Case number blah 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 blah, something versus something," and that's it.
Does he do the oath?
No,
they don't do oaths anymore.
Not on camera.
They do off-camera oaths.
I don't know if they're doing oaths. They're not doing them on camera.
Oh God.
He literally just says the name of the case, and I think that's it. And then you see him walking back and forth, showing.
Does he express
evidence.
any emotion? Like,
No.
does he laugh at anything? Because that was the charm and magic of Bert. Is like, yes, Bert was a sidekick, but he was a loyal sidekick. She trusted his judgment. She'd ask him questions now and then. He'd see people pull bullshit, and he couldn't contain himself. Like, that was the magic of Bert.
Well, the other thing is he seems to be stone-faced.
Oh.
But several times she has broken the fourth wall. Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Where
she's broken the second. She's broken the back wall.
No, where she'll ask the people. She'll ask the plaintiff and the defendant, Do your parents watch me? Do they know that you're here? Let's not make fools of yourselves. And then she goes on to question them, and like,
she said that a couple times.
And then she'll say something like, "Oh, and of course the millions of people who are watching us right now, God willing." She'll say some bullshit like that, and it's just like
she's leveraging viewership as the silent, now fifth member of the panel. So it is a 3-judge panel thing, except she does everything.
Right. The other 2 are just placeholders who say nothing unless she absolutely needs them to.
I'm fascinated by this because she's changing the format, but at least she got Bert a job. That's nice. Like, Bert's on a new judge show.
She didn't change the format. It's the exact same show.
But
it just has tiny little changes, which is why I am convinced there was some kind of disagreement with, the other producers or the people at what was the
I think it was NBC.
Yeah, the people at NBC who were like, they had some type of disagreement. She's like, "Fine, I'll go, make my own version of the same show, but, contract records stipulate that it has to be slightly different. It can't be the exact same show.
Oh,
so she fired Bert, and she brought in a few other clowns.
Yeah.
But it's theoretically the same show.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that's what happened. She was having some type of disagreement or fight with someone, and she was like, how can I make the same show that's contractually obligated?
Then judging by, the setup, here's the thing. The only indication that something was going to change at the beginning, this was like 18, 19 this happened, it's a few years back, was the hair. She went from having the same coiffed, curled hair that she had for the past 20 years to just putting it in a ponytail. And you're like, hold on a second. You have done this show for this long. You have access to the best hair and makeup teams in Hollywood. Why would you just put it in a simple, running ponytail and go out there? Especially when your hair's not even that long. It's not like she has, it's not like Judge Judy has, ass-length hair. It doesn't make any sense. But people are like, is she trying to look like Ruth Bader Ginsburg? What's the deal here? What's the move? But that was the first indication, and I don't know if ratings were starting to decline, and she was like, I need a new controversy or something like that. I think that might have been where it started, because then also, before, in 2020, she went out and not just endorsed Michael Bloomberg, who's a friend of hers, campaigned on behalf of Michael Bloomberg. Now, she's somebody who for the past 25 years has never made a single political statement at all other than the generic, there's too many criminals, they're not teaching young people well, old, Jewish mother kind of, statements. That this is the first time she ever did something explicitly political. Especially because she mentioned something slightly positive about Trump once. She's like, I like that he says it the way that it is. And that was it.
Well, she's, several times that I've seen on the show, her judgments and the statements that she makes are quite conservative. And in one case, I'm actually, it might be good that this has not gotten off the ground yet. Not many people are watching it yet, because there was one episode where I think she was absolutely right, but she could have definitely been called a racist.
Really?
Yes. There were these two black families, but they were all women.
Oh.
So it was like two mothers living in the projects. Literally, they were forced to live next to each other because it was government.
Oh, Section 8?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Could you imagine?
So it's these two mother figures with a gaggle of female children.
Oh, God.
And they're fighting and setting each other's shit on fire and beating each other with golf clubs and physically hurting each other.
Wow.
And they finally get to Judge Judy, and she's like, she made comments that seemed very disparaging of that atmosphere, and she did not bring race into it, but because there was a racial thing involved, people could take it that way. What I'm saying is, I think Judge Judy was completely right in the comments that she made, but if any social justice warrior, if any Black Lives Matter person were to watch that show, they would have called for her cancellation immediately.
Well, I think that, but if you look at it, I can see that. I think that historically, she has always held a special contempt for welfare and people who take government assistance, especially those who exploit the system of government assistance. Because
do you know how many times she's asked? I've heard her ask one of the plaintiff or the defendant, "What do you do for work? Why aren't you working?"
It's true, because a lot of the people that are in these kind of the sort of low $1,000 disputes, there's a lot. I would say that probably 70% of the people that have been on the show having disputes have been on some form of government assistance, right. Whether it's food stamps, government health care, welfare, housing, something. She had
these two bitches on there who were saying, "Oh yeah, I buy and sell food stamps for a living."
Oh, and I bet she was furious.
Well, she said, "Well, we are not here to litigate that, but you just know that that's
Yeah.
Not appropriate and not within the law, but we're here to litigate something else.
There have been a couple times on the show, on the old show, where they've had people outright state some things that are completely criminal.
But that's how she said, and that was the one time that the after hours or after
After
the chamber the chamber conversation with her granddaughter was enlightening, because she said, when people come into the courtroom and they admit to doing something illegal under oath to me, that's when I know they're telling the truth. Because you wouldn't say that if knowing something is illegal and knowing that you're doing something wrong that could get you in trouble. If you're going to admit that to me, then that means I can trust you and that I think you're telling the truth.
That's true. I mean, that's how the government used to break mob suspects. Like, whoever admitted to the murder first, like, that's the person that we have to, use as our informant. God, I love her.
Anyway, we've gone on about this way too long, and people have turned this off by now.
Can we be the official Judge Judy accompaniment podcast?
No.
Why?
Because we have a lot of other things to talk about, and we would lose all 17 of our subscribers.
Who gives a shit? It's interesting. Judge Judy viewers are not savvy enough to figure out how to, put together a podcast. Neither are we. Here we are spending 20 minutes trying to set it up because the computer doesn't want to play GarageBand.
Don't say we.
You.
No, this is your concoction. I don't.
Concoction. You act like I'm sitting here with like a compact monitor or something and trying to get my Alienware connected.
That is what you're doing. It says plinth.
That's the name of the device.
No. All I do is edit this bullshit.
All you do is sit here and bitch.
All I do is edit this bullshit and make me sound, good, and make you sound like a raving lunatic, which you don't need that much help, so.
I don't. In fact, our last podcast that came out had almost no editing.
It had 0 editing.
Yeah. So we're doing pretty good.
The Monkeypox podcast was from stem to stern, completely as the conversation was had.
It was one unhinged complaint.
Well.
Good for us. But I think that brings us to a formatting now. So this will be the last recorded. We've been in our satellite studio down here in Orange County. Basically, we've been house sitting, and we've had there's more space that we've had to record instead of just us being cheek to cheek on the couch. So I'm sure that the audio quality has been better for those of you listening, and we've also had the benefit of having the computer plugged in all the time, or most of the time, so it's a little bit easier to get up and started in recording versus me dragging half the equipment across my apartment in a comical, pour your drink and don't trip over the cables type of thing. So we've been recording a lot of episodes. We have also not had time to really edit a lot of episodes because we are in the process of moving. So there's...
And working.
So it's been kind of an irregular release schedule. You saw us release 2 in one day. You saw us release an emergency episode. There's a few more that we have in the can, so stay peeled from the past couple weeks on more political topics, so they might sound dated by then. I don't know. I can't record. We're not recording live, so it's not like, what do you think of the Supreme Court says? No, I don't know. I want to get another abortion. We can't do that yet. But we are getting to a point where we will be able to get back to a regular schedule. We'll put these ones that are in the kitty out, and we can maybe even get to the point, get next day release of our episodes.
Next day release
with a real schedule.
And theoretically maybe 2 a week.
Yes. Maybe we should start a Patreon. And if you really want us to do it fast, we'll do it within an hour or something like that. That's just going to be if you want to pay us $10 a month, we'll get it done. We'll release it as we're speaking. You can just sit there and edit the toggle the vocals with a headphone on as you're in the middle of talking, or something like that. We also do want to get to the point where we can do live broadcasts. Now, there's Twitter Spaces, which kind of blow, but it's because Clubhouse was out and they wanted to have a Clubhouse style alternative, so it's a live way where you're notified. You can go live. We could also do YouTube live, but then we can't edit it, so no racial slurs from you.
He's pointing at me like I'm the one who says.
What am I going to do? Point at the vacuum? Yeah, it's you. Yeah, you. No, you can't say Dago. So
yes, I can. I am one.
So the idea being, I think that we want to get it to the point where we can be on Spotify or on one of those platforms. We want to get to the point where we can put out episodes sooner. We're going to have a dedicated recording area, which is going to be very nice.
Oh my God.
In our new space. So we can just have a table where you can go in with our coffee or drinks or both and record. We're going to have to take like 12 pee breaks in between, but we'll figure it out. The bathroom's next door. And we may, within the next couple of months, set up a Patron so that we can afford Patron and not have to drink, Kirkland tequila. Although, and this is another unofficial endorsement, Kirkland Blanco tequila, do not sleep on it. It is very good, and it's better than Don Julio and some of the other
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Hornitos. No, I think it's better. Here's
I don't do tequila, so
Well, you've actually had quite a bit of tequila in the past couple months. I've been impressed.
I don't normally drink tequila.
And you haven't gone crazy yet, so... Well. So, lots of programming changes up and coming, but we're excited about them. We will be recording consistently. And to those of you who do listen to the show every time we put one out, oh my God. First of all, thank you. Second of all, what's wrong with you? Like... There is a coterie, and a growing coterie of people who listen to everything that we put out, and without us having to threaten. So we're doing something right.
Well, I mean, I've threatened a few people.
I mean, in regards to the podcast, not just in general.
Both.
Okay. and then eventually, the long arc of this podcast is in a few months, this has to become so notorious, and Mitch has to do something so egregious that we end up on the Judy Justice. Because he threw a Yeti mic at my head, or, he edited me to sound like a lunatic, and then I want material damages. Something that could be small claims court suable. But it's just so we can get on the show. It can't be something that we actually did. It has to be something so we can get on.
So if you want all these things to happen, what you need to do as people who are listening to this is tell your friends to listen, to retweet it on Twitter, blast it out somewhere,
Instagram,
do something.
Yes.
To help us get out there.
Honestly, and this sounds a little bit pyramid schemey, but there's no cost, so it's not. If you know one other person who you think would enjoy this, and who will forgive you if they really hate us, share it with them,
Because we actually have a lot of fun doing this, but it takes a lot of time on the back end.
Yeah.
So, if we know people are enjoying it, we're going to keep doing it.
Right. We'll adjust our schedules around it to make it something that we can accommodate more. And then maybe a moonshot will be we have 2 lavalier mics connected to our asses. And then we can record as we walk through Target or go through our weekly errands.
Because the Target trip we had yesterday was just ridiculous.
It's our best material. Like, it is on the level of Kathy Griffin, My Life on the D-List, or Being Bobby Brown, or the Anna Nicole Show level of reality show enjoyment.
Between the woman talking about leaving shit stains in her toilet, so she needed a high-powered toilet brush.
We're at Target in the cleaning aisle, and this woman is sitting there talking about farts and shit stains very loudly. Young woman too, not a clueless old woman. Very loudly talking about how she has to buy a toilet brush to scrub shit off of her toilet. I'm sorry, my boyfriend, who is supposed to be at work, just stuck his head in the front door and gave me a look, and I'm very concerned. But Mitch turned around like the stabber was coming in. So what was another thing that happened yesterday at Target? Because we had the woman talking about having to scrub shit stains out of her toilet.
We passed by... I don't even remember what he was doing, but we passed by some clearly gay man who, looked at us like we didn't belong there. I don't know. It was uncomfortable.
I'm sorry that we terrorized the Mission Viejo Target one too many times.
And then the last thing, I was looking for a birthday card from my mother, and I look over, and it says... birthday card, wife to wife.
The wife to wife section. And
Wyatt picked it up, and it was like, This could easily be from husband to wife. Like, there's
It didn't say something like, I love the way that you tongue blast my clit. Like, it didn't say anything identifiable. It just said wife to wife, and it was like, were these cards too floral for a man to buy for his wife? Like, what is what distinguished? How did this, identify that you had your first date at Home Depot and then you bought a Subaru together? Like, how did this work?
That was the first time I've ever seen anything like that.
There was a wife, but there was no husband to husband.
Well,
section.
we didn't go to the men's birthday section.
I don't think that gays buy cards for other gays. I don't know that there's much of a lesbian card market. I know there's no trans card market because they got way too much going on. Like, you can't sit there with you.
Yeah, where was the them to wife?
Them to them? Well, speaking of them, and this is a topical thing, but your friend, actually no, my friend, Demi Lovato, is no longer Demi Lovato. She was using she and her pronouns again because she is, quote, fluid and feeling more feminine now, end quote. Also has a new album coming out, but that has nothing to do with it.
Oh, sure.
Here's the thing. When she first came out of the whole, almost overdosing thing and everything like that, she had more goodwill than I think ever. People were like, okay, she's going to clean up, she's going to do well, you make a comeback song, everyone's fine. And that was good, but she was starting to do that, and then all of a sudden, the they-them thing popped up, and then she shaved her head, and then she was talking about how she communicates to trans ghosts and stuff like that. And you're like, all right, well, she's gone. Like, there's been brain damage there. Like, God love her, and she's a wonderful person by all accounts, but something was happening. But apparently that flopped, because she's back, and she's fish, and she's here. Not physically here, but,
It's almost like she flipped a switch and things just went back to normal, which I don't know, good for her. Last thing before we wrap this, because we mentioned bringing it up before, you know someone whose mother contracted COVID.
Yes, and by all accounts, now this may change, but thankfully, recovered basically in a day. And, older person was a concern that it might develop into some other complication or something like that, but was like, woke up fine, and that was over. Whereas, younger person who had it was like 3 days of feeling like hell. So, and by the way, healthy,
Right. So, I'm going to say, for the record, I've said it once, I'll say it again. Biology works in a way that viruses will continue to get less deadly. Usually. There are exceptions, obviously. But usually viruses will mutate and change to become less deadly because they want to propagate just like humans do. They want to live. So if they kill their host before they have a chance to spread to another host, they can't live. Yeah. So, I use the word want, but obviously, they don't have brains. But biologically speaking, you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So yes, that is the evolution of viral strains. So I am willing to say, and no one else in the government is, COVID is completely over. We have now gotten to the point where it is a common cold, basically, or it is equivalent to a common cold. It's not really killing anyone. It's not really, severely hurting someone.
Yeah.
It's over. And
Ta-da!
Barbara Ferrer can, strap a mask to herself if she wants, but it's over.
Well, that was the thing. She wasn't wearing one. So the LA County Health Department...
She probably never has.
The LA County Health Ghoul was a big mask person because her daughter authored a study about child mask use, and she cited her own daughter's study without citing that was her daughter. So that's how these people work. She was the one who made LA probably the worst county in the United States as far as mandates, requirements, vaccine requirements, all that horseshit went. And now that most of that's been lifted, they threatened up to a week ago to reinstate a mask mandate in Los Angeles County. Because something case numbers, even though there was like ICU beds were virtually empty and nobody was dying, and it was just
or no hospitalization.
Or the deaths they were counting were people who already had 18 other complications, and it was like, oh, they tested positive for it. It's not the thing that pushed them over the cliff. So finally, they caught her at an LA Dodgers game, screaming with her mask on her wrist and everything like this, like spitting on everybody, you know, her little ghoul venom. And the reason why I reserve special contempt for her is there was a Deadline LA article that had a picture of her like on TV, and she looked like hell because she does look like hell. And I've posted on Instagram 3 times, and I get flagged for misinformation as it being an edited photo when it's from a legitimate news source. But because the AP flagged it, it gets flagged as misinformation, even though Deadline Hollywood is a legit news source. So every time that's happened, my Instagram stories get throttled because I'm a proponent of misinformation because I shared a picture of this woman that's a real picture of her. So that's where we're at now.
She's a woman?
Well, I don't know. She looks like the Crypt Keeper.
Exactly. She doesn't even look like I'm not saying she's a man either. I'm saying...
And normally...
She doesn't look like a human.
Normally, you wouldn't call out someone's appearance, but when someone's job is to be the health director...
We've made a career calling people out on their appearance.
if we have a Patreon and people pay us, yes. If this person is supposed to be the health director for the entirety of Los Angeles, this person should be like... They should look like the picture of health, not like... the picture on like a back of a thing of cigarettes.
Well, Rachel Levine was, a health person in Pennsylvania before.
Yeah, she killed many old people, and then she got promoted.
Yeah. Anyway,
do you think Rachel Levine has dragged Mayor Pete into like a coat closet or something and done a little, you think there's that going? No wonder Chasen takes pills. I'd be upset if I got replaced with a 7-year-old Jewish man. I have another story for that, but that'll be for another podcast.
Before we get really into the weeds of...
What are they going to sue us? We're not making any money off of this. You can't sue people who aren't making money. In fact, we're losing money.
True.
No, you can't.
Anyway.
When you go into a lawyer's office and you say something that like people like a professional, potentially defamatory, the first thing they ask is, are they litigious? And the second thing they ask is like, what resources do you have they can come after? We have nothing. And we're not making anything. So you can't come at me.
I have and I will.
I got the First Amendment on my side. And the Second. And the 10th.
Okay.
When are they going to do a gay marriage amendment? Will that be the 28th? 29th? It's going to be in the Constitution that the gays can marry. That'll be really funny because it's not there now.
Get ready for a more...
You're supposed to yes and that. You can't just... No, you're not going to guide this car towards an off-ramp. I'll drive you into the rails.
Get ready for a more normal publishing schedule and
yes.
as we move into...
And if there's one takeaway that we have from this for any of our listeners, tell one other person that you kind of like not somebody you hate, but someone you kind of like to listen to us.
Yeah, and send them a good episode, not this one.
Send them a previous one that was a lot more funny.
Send them the monkeypox episode.
There were enough jokes in that one. We need one with
I know. Send them a funny one. Right. But anyway,
all right.
Have a great day and fuck you all.